Ever wonder why Led Zeppelin couldn't afford a proper flight? They spent all their money on stairways to heaven. Welcome to our rock and roll journey down memory lane, where we'll be diving into the story of one of the most legendary rock bands of all time, Led Zeppelin. Now let's dial back to the late 60s, when four guys from England decided to form a band that would rock the world. We have the golden-haired Robert Plant with a voice that could shatter glass, Jimmy Page, the guitar wizard who could make his instrument weep or scream with a single strum, John Paul Jones, the multi-talented musician who gave the band its melodic backbone, and last but not least, John Bonham, the thunderous drummer who could make any surface his drum kit. Together, this quartet created a unique sound, a fusion of blues and rock that was unlike anything the world had heard before. They were the perfect storm, a combination of raw talent, wild charisma, and a flair for the theatrical. But their path to stardom wasn't just about the music. These guys knew how to have fun. From their wild antics off stage to their eccentric fashion choices, Led Zeppelin were as much about the spectacle as they were about the sound. And who could forget their iconic song, Stairway to Heaven, a masterpiece that has become a rock anthem. It's a 7-minute epic that takes listeners on a journey, much like the band's own. It's a stairway that starts with a soft acoustic intro and builds up to a grand, electrifying finale, much like the band's rise to fame. But what made this band truly special was their camaraderie. They were more than just bandmates, they were brothers, sharing a bond that was as strong as their love for music. Despite their differences, they always managed to create magic when they stepped on stage. Now let's rock and roll back to the start of this musical journey. Let's dive into the early days of Led Zeppelin, where it all began. Just remember, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and what a journey it was. In the beginning, there was a Yardbird that evolved into a Zeppelin. Talk about an upgrade. It all started in the revolutionary year of 1968, when the winds of change were blowing through the world, and a little band known as the Yardbirds decided to branch off and create something new, something loud, something audacious, something Zeppelin. Jimmy Page, the last man standing from the Yardbirds, found himself in a bit of a pickle. Left with a few gigs to fulfill and no band in sight, he did what any self-respecting rock star would do. He teamed up with 3 other blokes and created a whole new beast. Enter Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham, the other 3/4 of what would soon become the legendary Led Zeppelin. Their sound was different. It was raw, it was loud, it was rock and roll with a hint of blues, a dollop of folk, and a whole lot of attitude. And boy, did the world sit up and take notice. By the end of 1969, they had 2 albums under their belt and a growing fan base that couldn't get enough of their electrifying performances and innovative music. And let's not forget their name, shall we? Legend has it that when Page suggested the band's name, his fellow musicians scoffed, saying it would go down like a lead balloon. Well, they decided to own it, swapped balloon for Zeppelin, and the rest, as they say, is rock history. Their rise to fame was meteoric. They didn't just climb the ladder of success, they took a rocket ship. With their unique sound, they carved out a niche for themselves in the rock music scene, shattering records and blowing minds along the way. And that's how the Yardbird became a Zeppelin, ladies and gents. Buckle up for the next chapter. Led Zeppelin didn't just rock the boat, they rocked the whole damn world. But how exactly did they do that? Well, it all started with their first self-titled album, Led Zeppelin. Released in 1969, it shot straight up the charts like a rocket on steroids, landing in the top 10 in the US and UK. It wasn't just their electric performance, but the unique blend of genres that captivated the audience. They mixed heavy rock with blues, folk, and even psychedelia, creating a sound that was unlike anything the world had heard before. And then came their second album, aptly named Led Zeppelin II, which was as explosive as its predecessor. It debuted at #1 in both the US and UK, and it was clear that the Zeppelin was not just flying, it was soaring. But it wasn't just their music that made headlines. The band was notorious for their wild lifestyle, which often overshadowed their musical prowess. There were controversies, scandals, and rumors that swirled around them like a storm, but they just shrugged it off and did what they did best. They rocked. Their influence on rock music can hardly be overstated. They were pioneers, trendsetters, and trailblazers, pushing the boundaries of what rock music could be. They paved the way for countless bands that came after them, inspiring a whole new generation of rockers. And then there were their live performances. Oh boy, their live performances. They were electrifying, mesmerizing, and downright awe-inspiring. They turned their concerts into a spectacle, a sight to behold, a feast for the senses. They didn't just play music, they performed it. Led Zeppelin was more than just a band. They were a phenomenon, a cultural icon, a force of nature. They rocked stadiums, they rocked charts, they rocked TV screens, and they rocked hearts. They made the world shake, rattle, and roll to their rhythm. So they rocked the world, but could they keep the rhythm going? What goes up must come down, even if it's a Zeppelin. As we cruise into the late 70s, our rock gods found themselves in a turbulent storm. Personal issues started to creep in like unwanted groupies backstage. To start with, the band was dealing with their fair share of management problems. Imagine being the lead singer of one of the biggest bands in the world, strutting your stuff on stage, only to find out your manager has been playing fast and loose with your hard-earned cash. Not exactly a stairway to heaven, right? But it wasn't just money matters that were causing a rift. The band's popularity began to wane. The once adoring fans started to drift away, lured by the siren call of punk rock and disco. It was like watching your favorite groupie leave with the drummer from another band. In the midst of all this, tragedy struck. John Bonham, the thunderous backbone of the band, passed away unexpectedly in 1980. Now, Bonham wasn't just a drummer, he was a force of nature, a whirlwind of rhythm that drove the band forward. His loss was a devastating blow. Faced with the unimaginable task of replacing their irreplaceable drummer, the remaining members made a tough call. They decided to disband Led Zeppelin. It was a decision that rocked the music world, a shockwave that left fans reeling. Yet in the midst of the heartache and the heartbreak, something beautiful emerged. The music, the songs that had once filled arenas and blared from radios, they endured. They became anthems, timeless classics that still resonate today. And just like that, the Zeppelin fell, but the music, oh the music, it lives on. Led Zeppelin may have disbanded, but their legacy, it's as immortal as rock itself. Now let's dive into the aftermath, the reverberations of their music still shaking the world of rock. When the Zeppelin stopped flying, the world didn't stop spinning, and the echoes of their music didn't stop inspiring. They left a mark, a deep groove on the vinyl of rock history. Their unique blend of blues, folk, and hard rock paved the way for countless bands that followed. From the heavy metal thunder of Metallica to the grunge roar of Pearl Jam, the influence of Led Zeppelin is unmistakable. Their legacy is not just in their sound, but also in their approach to music. They were pioneers, blending genres and pushing boundaries. They showed the world that rock music could be loud, heavy, soft, and beautiful all at once. They dared to experiment, to evolve, to defy the norms, and that spirit continues to inspire musicians to this day. And let's not forget their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1995, a testament to their enduring influence and significance. The Hall recognized them as the greatest rock and roll band of all time. And who are we to argue? Their music lives on, not just in the hearts of fans, but in the very fabric of rock music. Their songs are still played, still enjoyed, still revered. Their reunion concerts, though few and far between, draw crowds in droves, proof that the magic of Led Zeppelin is far from extinguished. So that's the tale of Led Zeppelin, a band that rocked, rolled, fell, and rose again. Now isn't that a stairway to heaven?